Welcome. You have come to the right place. This is the world of nutrition, a very delightful show brought to us by none other than Marilyn the Mayor. Marilyn the Mayor is going to bring in a couple guests, and we are going to talk about some things that are good for our body and our lives. And we're bringing you a lot of value. Enjoy the show. Marilyn, take it away. This is your World of Nutrition show.
Yay, mahalo, Kurt. Thank you so much. Welcome to the World of Nutrition podcast, Nutrition for Your Body, Mind, and Soul. Today, I have two very special guests that are going to share with you what they do and how they help bring nutrition to everyone's body, mind, and soul. So, what a treat. Our first guest is Julie Cook. She is a certified life coach who specializes in emotional intelligence training. Julie graduated from Middle Tennessee State University in 2012 with a degree in nutrition and food science. Right out of college, she became a health coach and helped hundreds of clients develop healthier lifestyle habits. In 2016, she decided to change things up and dove into the food industry managing kitchens. That is where she was able to sharpen her leadership and problem solving skills. In 2020, she became a certified life coach and started Julie Cook Coaching in 2023, where she helps her clients develop the confidence they need to go after advancements in their career and teaches them tools that helps them navigate the challenges they will face as a leader. Julie, thank you so much for being here tonight. And please share with us a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. One of the things, just to kind of share my story with you all a little bit and how I help my clients. Most of my life, I struggled with social anxiety. And I really had trouble, like making friends, building connections with people. The idea of managing people really kind of stressed me out. Just people having to deal with people in general just stressed me out. But then I realized that if I wanted to make a positive impact and a bigger contribution to the world, if I wanted to advance in my career, one of the things that I knew I needed to do was learn how to embrace being the center of attention, and build connections with others and lead. So, really, the mission of my business is to help other people, other ambitious introverts, overcome their social anxiety so that way they can make a positive impact in the world. I really do believe that there's a lot of people. I know that there's a lot of people out there. I've been working with them that have a fire in their hearts like me, that want to make a positive contribution, that want to make more money, that want to make more impact. And so, really, I coach them in two different areas. I coach them on mindset, and help them create identity shifts. And then I also coach them on just developing a strategy for networking and how to own the room. So I give them the mindset tools, and then I also give them the action step tools as well. So,
I love that so much. And I feel like when we first met, we totally clicked because we're the like cut out of the same cloth to where I was also feeling like I'm an introvert and, not, I get nervous in front of large crowds as well. So I loved speaking
mhm.
with you. And I'm curious, like, how do you, or maybe give us a tip or two of what you share with your client on how they can get over their social anxiety to be able to network and be able to talk to a room full of people?
Yeah, of course. So one of the first things I do with my clients is I help them um, just really gain awareness around some of the limiting beliefs that hold them back. And it's a lot of for my clients, it's the same beliefs same things that come up, which are beliefs like I'm not interesting, nobody's gonna listen to me, I don't fit in. Um, I don't know what to say. Like in networking, a lot of people are like, they're just quiet because like they don't know what to say, right? So one of the first things I do is I help my clients, I call it a thought download. So when you're experiencing an uncomfortable emotion, you'll do what I call a thought download, which is you can write down the thoughts you're having in the moment, or just try to make a mental note of the thoughts you're having in the moment. Um, so, like I say, if you're at a networking event, for example, and you're standing there and you notice one of the thoughts that's coming up for you is, I don't know what to say, or people think I look awkward, right? that kind of thing, make a mental note. And then when you get home, you can write those down. And I get you to challenge those thoughts, because really it's a belief that you're having. And the best way to overcome a limiting belief is intentionally try to build evidence to disprove that belief. So if you believe that you're not interesting, for example, you can, and you now have the awareness that that's a thought that's coming up for you at a networking event that's causing you to feel awkward. You can start intentionally building evidence against that idea, and think about all the ways that maybe you are interesting. So um, and then if you are struggling with that, you can also ask yourself, okay, well, if I really do believe I'm not interesting because I don't really have a lot going on, what are some things that I could do that I personally feel like are interesting and that that I think would inspire other people, right? So that's one thing, is just a thought download. Anytime you're feeling awkward, uncomfortable, anxious, write down the thoughts in that moment or make a mental note of what you're thinking in that moment, so that way you can go back and challenge those thoughts later. So that's one of the mindset, like a little tip for mindset, when you're experiencing uncomfortable emotions. And then some of the other things I go over with my clients, like making a good first impression. One thing you can do is there's a few simple things. One is the amount of eye contact you have. So anytime you're engaging with someone, you want to have about 60 to 70%, like maintain 60 to 70% of eye contact when you're having a conversation with someone. The other thing you can do is make sure that your hands are visible and open. You don't want to have your hands like in your pockets, or you really don't want to be holding your phone or have your hands in front of your body. That kind of closes you off and makes it harder to approach you. So when you see a person's hands, it automatically kind of signals trust and openness. And then there's a launch pose. I don't know if any of you know of. I believe it's. She is known for her research. I think it's Edwards is her last name. Oh, her name has left me, but basically she's done all of this research on how to make good first impressions, and she gives great tips. She's one of my mentors. But she talks about a launch pose, and basically that's where you make sure you're standing up with your shoulders back and down, your chin's kind of elevated, and you never want to slump your shoulders, which sounds obvious, but if you struggle with anxiety, sometimes you're busy in your head overthinking things and you're not thinking about opening up your chest, having your shoulders back, and having your hands open. A lot of times people don't think of that because they're kind of overthinking in their head. So those are just a few little things that you know I kind of cover with clients.
I love that so much. I'm thinking, man, I think I do way too much eye contact than 60 to 70%. I just am really locked into the person that's talking, and I'm like, wanting to hear what they're saying. And I'm so curious as to what I'm going to learn. I love that you
Mhm.
said, open body. That's something that I
Mhm.
feel that as a short person, I'm not even 5 feet. So I'm automatically already looking up to people, and having that open body, being able to have a more presence that people maybe feel comfortable in. So that's huge, especially with networking. We want to make sure that the people that we're talking to, are feeling comfortable with us. And then I love that you said about building evidence, trying to disprove limiting beliefs. And it's like the
Mhm.
opposite of, sometimes we think, oh, if somebody thinks, oh, I'm not interesting, and then they start creating all these stories to prove that's right, instead of, okay, let's switch it and find evidence that it's not right. And that is
Right.
so fascinating. And I think that it will be great for people to just have that mental shift, and it's going to actually
Mhm.
take work to shift that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, because one of the other areas that I kind of help my clients with is public speaking. And so at the beginning, when I first start working with a client, I talk to them just how they feel and what they're thinking about themselves, to kind of, so then I can just paint a picture. Okay, now we identified the limiting beliefs, but then we intentionally create, like, what do we want our new set of beliefs to look like? Because we operate from our belief systems. And so, for example, if you wanted to get good at, like, be a better public speaker, and right now you think, I'm horrible at public speaking, I stammer, and I panic, I freeze. A lot of times people have those kind of ideas about themselves when they public speak. So, one of the things like an identity shift, is people start practicing a new belief of, people love it when I talk. I'm entertaining. Like, people enjoy hearing me speak. That's the place we want to get to, right? That's the internal transformation we're trying to build. But it's hard to believe that if you've been wired and been practicing this old belief system. So then we intentionally kind of break that down. So if you don't, and then you also, when you do that, you create awareness around the gaps that you have. So, like, if you don't believe that you're entertaining when you speak, it's like, okay, well, what does a person who's entertaining, when they speak, like, what do they have that I don't? And then you start doing that research and really start working on building that belief. So I really like, the fastest way to get transformation is, especially with confidence, is one, having the awareness of the mental roadblocks, which we deal with right up front. And then two, making sure that you're taking the action, practicing those new beliefs. Because you can have the mindset tools all day, but confidence, a certain amount of confidence absolutely has to come from the action that you take. But when you have both the mindset and, like, the action step strategy, you're going to get that transformation way faster.
That's,
So,
yeah. People love it when I talk. And I'm thinking out loud. I'm like, gosh, Julie could make all these different affirmations, for our clients to listen to and be able to reframe some of the limiting beliefs that come up for them. And I get that because I was raised to be seen and not heard. And now it's like, okay, how can I share my voice? How can I um, be that light, right? And that's what you're doing with your clients. Like, you're letting them let their light shine.
mhm. Yes, yes, absolutely. And I was gonna say, I have one other thing to share on beliefs. I'm not sure where we're at with time exactly, but yeah, I like to think about beliefs, or I try to explain. One of the ways I like to explain, like, how you can overcome limiting beliefs, because we believe in things for two reasons, really. One, we were conditioned to think that way, right? Like, we were just raised from an early age to think that way. An example of, like, a conditioned belief is, we believe, in our society, it's inappropriate to walk around half naked, right? So if we saw somebody walking around half naked, we would be emotionally triggered. We would probably automatically assume that they have either mental health issues, or, um, this is like an exaggerated example, but it gets the point across. Um, we would think they either have mental health issues, or maybe they need help, right? Like, we just believe it's inappropriate to walk around half naked. However, if you go to visit some of the Amazon, like, tribes in the Amazon, their whole community, none of them wear shirts, like, all of their family, nobody wears shirts, and nobody thinks anything about it, because they were never taught or conditioned to believe it was wrong. They were never taught or conditioned to believe it was inappropriate. So if they walk around, like, if you and I walk around without a shirt, we're going to feel probably shame, or we're going to have an emotional experience, right? That's going to make us really uncomfortable. But the reason why they don't feel that way is because that they weren't conditioned that way. So I think it's just huge for people to understand that a big reason why you feel maybe nervous in front of people, um, or why you feel awkward when you're in a group of people or something like that, it's really just, like, beliefs that you had from an early age, usually because of some kind of defense mechanism you used at a very early age, and you just never had the awareness that it's optional. Like, believing that you're awkward or uninteresting or have nothing to offer, all of that is an optional belief. And so I just like to tell people, like, you can completely transform your emotional experience when you hyper focus on being intentional about the beliefs you have about who you are, what you're capable of. And once you practice those new beliefs, it's like it's more than fake it till you make it. Like it's more than like a positive affirmation. It's really trying to embody a new belief. You're actually changing neural pathways in your brain. And so you can show up in the same circumstance, like in front of a group of people, and have a completely different emotional experience if you are really intentional about the beliefs you want to have in that circumstance. So that's one thing I just like to share with people. Like, it is absolutely possible to completely transform your emotional experience if you're intentional about your beliefs. And then, so you believe in something because you've been conditioned to believe that, or because you just happen to gather enough evidence to believe something new, right? Like if you want to research, like, what's the healthiest way to eat, and then you do a lot of research, you're gathering evidence. Like, okay, I'm going to start eating this way because this is the evidence I found, to support that. So that's pretty much what we do is, okay, these are the set of beliefs that are going to help you operate at your highest self. Now let's actively gather evidence so that way you can have that internal transformation. So there you go. I don't know. I like that example because it just hits real to me, but
Well, I was gonna say the men here in Hawaii, they walk around with shorts. So it's
okay. Yeah.
however, I'm curious just because I did see online, I forget who said it, but they were talking about public speaking, and like if we focus inwardly and how are we doing, how are we showing up when we speak to an audience, then we're not focused on the value that we're actually giving to others. So if we speak to others as if we're just speaking to others and providing them value of something that we learned along the way, then that kind of emotion just goes away because we're so passionate about what we're going to do or what we're going to share to help other people.
Absolutely. I think that that's huge. Like identifying when you're doing that, like having the awareness in the moment. Oh, the reason why I'm so nervous right now is because I'm worried about what people are thinking about me. Like I'm worried about messing up. That's going to increase your anxiety like you're talking about, but when you notice yourself when you notice yourself focusing on yourself in the moment, you can intentionally just start to shift that. It's like, oh, this is amping my anxiety because I'm worried about saying the wrong thing and I'm not focused or thinking about how can I help these people in front of me. So absolutely, that's so huge if you can think about I have a message that's going to help people, and you make sure you're being intentional about focusing on delivering that message in the best way possible to help others. Yeah, it absolutely takes the pressure off.
I would love for you to share your biggest like breakthrough story that you've had with the client.
I will say, this I like this one. This is one of my favorite stories, but it actually isn't necessarily like a public speaking breakthrough. But I was working with a professor at a university, and he has no problem public speaking. He actually got voted like best professor at his university by his students. And he has no problem with small talk, anything like that. But he experienced a lot of anxiety dating. So he had not dated anyone in 4 years. Like when he would get around women, he would get in his head, overthink things, freeze up. And so when we started working together, I started helping him build awareness around why he's experiencing anxiety, to help him understand that and process that. And it's like, okay, if you want to show up relaxed and confident on the date, what are the beliefs you need to have that are going to allow you to experience those emotions? And so he had a 6 month like package, but he got into a relationship and started dating someone within 3 months of working with me. And he had not been with anyone or dated anyone in like 4 years. So I feel like I'm like, we didn't even need the 6 month package. You already, found you a boo thing. They end up not working out, but that's okay. He still was putting himself out there. And, dating, I think, is something that we should be able to enjoy. Like, I'm like, if you're not having fun being single and dating, you are doing it wrong.
Absolutely. And I love that reminds me of our first time we ever met. It's like I was telling you, I'm going to take myself on a date after this. And you're like, I'm going to do the same. And we both took ourselves on dates that day. And it was so perfect. And we are able to share that experience and how we were able to connect with ourselves and get to know ourselves better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember that night I went to Yummy. No, it was Smiley Thai, and I had sushi, got me some pineapple chicken fried rice. It was a lovely, lovely evening.
And I took myself to lunch. I had some Thai green curry, and it was perfect. So I thank
Hmm.
you so much, Julie. I'm so glad that you're on our World of Nutrition podcast for today. Please tell us if you have any events coming up and where people can find you.
Yes, so if you are interested in my services, you can check out my website, juliecookcoaching.com. You can also follow me on Instagram. I just started posting more. I saw that you liked some of my things, so thank you very much. I appreciate the support. But I am starting to be committed to my social media, Julie Cook Coaching on Instagram. So you can follow me there. And on Instagram, my goal, I'm going to share with you like live me going out in social situations, networking, dating, all the things, like sharing live stuff with you, like me working my tools in the moment, which I'm super excited about. Um, so yeah, join me on Instagram and follow the journey.
Yes, I love seeing your stuff. So thank you for starting to post because now it's showing up on my feed. So yes.
Nice.
Thank you again so much for being on today.
Of
And
course.
thank you. I would love to introduce my next guest, Maria. Maria Lupita is a mindset hacker for creators and entrepreneurs who refuse to be limited by fear, doubt, or circumstance. Born 6 months premature, she was a miracle that doctors said wouldn't survive. Her life became proof that limits only exist until someone decides otherwise. Despite enduring unthinkable abuse through her childhood, she emerged with an unshakable faith, turning pain into power and problems into purpose. That faith became the foundation of her mindset hacker methods, a proven process helping creators and entrepreneurs eliminate fear at its root and embody unstoppable confidence. Graduate in philosophy and Spanish, double certified in lay counseling, and trained across multiple mindset and communication modalities, Maria's real power lies in her story, her energy, and her belief that nothing is impossible. As she says, I have no problems because if there is a problem, then I am the solution. Her story reminds us all if she can turn her pain into power, you can do anything too. That is beautiful. Thank you, Maria, for being here. Please share it with us a little bit more.
Oh my goodness, I want to talk to that girl. Thank you so much. And Julie, thank you so much for sharing your powers. If you were to know the power that comes from teaching men how to pick up women, I used to, and this is totally off topic, but it goes to what Julie was saying. This man that he literally used skills that he had learned through a training that is done here in South Orange County, California, that they literally pay tens of thousands of dollars. Very successful men have no idea. They can make gazillions of dollars, but when it comes to dating, just like Julie was saying, they freeze, totally freeze. So there is a massive need, Julie, for really grounded women to teach men how to do this versus men teaching men how to do it, because it's very different when other men teach other men. Single men are teaching men how to pick up women. So anyways, the reason I say that is because he said, well, it worked because I was able to get you, right? Like he couldn't keep me. So with that being said, what I do is that, as you said, I went through a very traumatic childhood, and I only say this so that you can understand that if I can get through that, you can get through anything, and I can show you all the things that I've tried everything. If they said this will work, I tried it. If they said this will work, I tried it. So I was as a child, I was the child of a 15-year-old little girl. So we grew up, my mom and I basically grew up together. And because of the circumstances, I was sexually abused by 5 of my uncles from the age of memory to the age of 11 years old. So needless to say, I grew up pretty messed up. Like my whole world was warped, my trust, everything. And the more coaching, mentoring, therapy I got, the more justification I got to be the person I was, to be triggered, to, like Julie was saying, be programmed to be okay with not being okay, to be okay with being very insecure. So I learned a new method that I was securely insecure. So I was very secure in my insecurity. And as you and I know, I came across Ho'oponopono. And just so people know in the audience, I don't call it Ho'oponopono because one, the majority of people freak out. The other people that don't freak out, they get insecure because they don't know how to pronounce it. So there's all this friction. So when I was talking to my mentor, my coach, we're like, this is causing too much friction with the average human. So let's shift it. Let's shift how we're talking about it so that people can at least get the information. So Ho'oponopono, which is mind shifting, mind hacking. We're just simply doing exactly what Julie was talking about. We're hacking our mind so that we can come from inspired action. We can come from a place that we're going to get rid of all the things that we've been told that we are or that we're not. And we're going to listen to our higher power, divinity, and we're going to say and do what we're being called to do. Like, for instance, you, Marilyn, you have this beautiful energy about you. You love looking at people. You love staring at people. You love being in the energy with people. But you were silenced as a child, right? And this gift, if you were to listen to divine inspiration, you would see that that was your calling because that's when you shine. So with me, as I went through all these different trainings and coaching and mentoring, I found that I was actually really good at my super faith. That my grandma instilled in me that when I was a 1 month baby, I was a 1 pound premature baby, 6 months, and literally she had to feed me with a dropper because I learned later on in my life that when you have a child that is less than 6 months and a pound, less than a pound, their lungs are not fully developed. So when all of that happened, she literally had to like feed me with a dropper, and people would mock her. This is 53 years ago in Mexico. So all of that to say is that she taught me, instilling me that I could do anything, and I believed her. And I just believed her, and I keep, and I continue to believe her ever since. So what happened is that I got into the world of making money online. And I got into social media, and I started training people on how to do social media and how to make money online through social media. And the more that I did that, Marilyn, the more that I realized that the people that I was dealing with, it wasn't the idea of doing social media. It was the idea that they were stuck in their head about the limitation that they had about doing social media. So the more that I work with clients and help them with their social media, I realized that I was helping them more with their mindset and reprogramming them than teaching them social media, because most of us know how to share what our gifts are. But one day I was talking to an expert on mortgages, and he freaked out. He didn't know what to say. I'm like, you've been doing mortgages for 30 years. Like, you can, right? So the more that I work with them, the more that I realized that there was things that I like giving visuals because I think people get a better idea when they're able to see a visual. So like, let's say that you have all this information about mortgages because right now the real estate industry, it's having a very challenging time, and you're trying to give all this information, but there's all this programming like Julie was talking about that looks like this. But you have a very clear message that looks like this. But instead of looking at this, you're looking at this. And you're stuck. And you're stuck, and you're stuck, and you're stuck. So what Ho'oponopono does is that it says, wait a second. You've been given a divine inspiration to give this information. Let's go ahead and erase all of this. Let's clean it up. And let's start from the beginning. Let's hear what the divine is asking you to share. There's somewhere out there a family that needs to have a home of their own. Stop renting and start owning. But if they're focused up here on the mess, on what the world, the programming, their childhood, or their TV or their news tells them, they're going to continue to be stuck. So what I do with my clients is that I teach them how to hack their mind so that they can get rid of anything that has been programmed and start from zero. And what I love about what Dr. Hewlin, so for those of you who don't know about Dr. Hewlin, Dr. Joe Vitale, and Ho'oponopono, which is just mind hacking, by the way. For those of you that you're like, oh, what, and especially for the people that speak Christianese, if you would see, because I know, Marilyn, that you're a strong Christian, if you would see the programming that I get from people that are Christians, they're like, oh, no, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus. I'm like, yeah, Jesus would tell you, I'm sending you help. Right? So what happens is that people get so hung up on the hope on a word that it's been used by centuries by ancient Hawaiians, that they miss that. Let's cultivate together and let's help each other win more. Let's help you be what I called you to be. So what happens is that with Ho'oponopono, when I learned about it through good old YouTube. And I learned about it because Dr. Joe Vitale, who is the one that got connected with Dr. Hugh Land, he found him because somebody else told him the story. And he found that, and you can hear all of this on my YouTube channel. And he found out about the story of Dr. Joe Vitale, Dr. Hugh Land, that he was the psychologist in Hawaii that had rescued this mentally insane mental ward of criminals. Not just any criminals that were rapists, murderers, and no, they couldn't keep any staff. And then just give me, if you could give me time so that, because like I get really excited and I can talk. So if you can give me just about a 10-minute warning or something so that I can know how, I want to make sure that I deliver to all of you. So when Dr. Joe Vitale found out that this psychologist, Dr. Hugh Lin, that he had been able to rescue these criminals. And he did such an incredible job without ever talking to them, without ever having any contact with them. He would just simply open their file and say, what is it in me that is causing them to be brought to me? What is in me that is making me this idea of them? The more that he used Ho'oponopono, and for those of you who are familiar or have heard about Ho'opono, it's based on 4 phrases, but it's much more than the 4 phrases. It's, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So he started repeating those phrases to cleanse himself of his energy towards these criminals. And the more that he shifted how he saw them, the more that they changed. And the more that they changed, the more that the whole system, the whole location shifted and changed. So to the point that eventually within years, that was, thank you, that was completely dissolved. It was no longer needed. So what I do with my clients is that I give them the tools that they need to know, that they need to have in order for them to get rid of what's keeping them in the nonsense of programming that has been given to them, or they themselves have programmed themselves. And we go by just simply erasing it all, and waiting for divine inspiration, right? Because like, for instance, I'll give you a personal perfect example, is that I was affected severely by depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. And I was gung-ho that I wanted to help people with anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. And no matter how many times I tell people that I can solve that I can erase that for them, people are not knocking down to wanting to pay me to help them with that. But the moment that I tell them that I can show them how to reprogram their mind hack their mind so that they can actually make money online and monetize their presence online, there's all these people, can I give you money? Can you show me how to do this? So there's times that God calls us for certain things, and there's times that God says, that's not your job, right? So I'm very cognizant of what God calls me to do, and what God sometimes is like, but God, I want to do this. And God says, but that's somebody else, right? That's somebody else. So for me, one of my biggest superpowers is using Ho'oponopono because it is the simplest. There's no talk therapy. There's no programming that you have to figure out how to do it. It's simple. And I give it all away for free on my YouTube channel and my TikTok channel. But what happens is that all of us know this, right? If you're in this space, is that what happens with humans is that if you don't have a community, if you don't have someone like Julie walking you through the process, you're going to fall off the wagon. You're not going to stay with the program unless you're someone weird like me, or like you're a superpower like Marilyn, right? Or you're like someone that is really driven because you were handicapped, at some point in your life, like Julie. So what happens is that I have a community where I help people mind hack their minds so that they can start monetizing on social media, so that they can start really taking advantage of whatever they have to offer the world so that they can be heard without all the noise that appears when they're paying attention to the programming that has been done. And then what I also do is that I have a 57 super powerful training that it tells them exactly what they need to do, is 7 simple steps that they have to do in order for them to do exactly what they want, what they have been called to do. And that's in addition to once you know how to hack your mind through Ho'oponopono, then once you do that, which is the 4 phrases, plus going into a cleansing method that you go through the process, it takes about 11 minutes, anywhere between 11 minutes to 33 minutes. And again, those are both available on YouTube for free on my channel. One of the things that I love is that once you are clear, then you have a goal that you have been inspired to do. And in order for you to do that goal, you have to have a path. You have to have a track as to how you're going to do it. You have to have a blueprint. So then I have a 57-second video that I show them exactly what they need to do in order to achieve that goal.
I love that so much. Yeah, you talk about the Zero Limits, which is a book I read with Joe Vitale and Dr. Hugh Lin. And then
Yes.
I have actually modified the way that I do Ho'oponopono to where I say, I apologize. Please forgive me. Thank you for showing me that you exist. I love you. So using that has been really powerful for me. And I, kind of Christianize it, I guess. So I love that, you have this process of doing the whole Ho'oponopono and then the cleansing process. I've never thought of that because, I would love for you to touch a little bit more about this cleansing process.
Sure. You want me to do that now?
Yeah, if you can.
Sure. So the cleansing process is very simple. You first have to ground yourself, and we do this by simply breathing in twice, fast. So you're using everything that is available to the human condition to hack your brain or to hack your body. So then you ground yourself. Once you ground yourself, you begin to talk to your quote unquote inner child, which is just your subconscious, the subconscious mind that has been programmed to think all these beliefs that Julie already beautifully touched on. So there's all this programming that has been done even when we were just in the womb, right? People spoke things to us that we didn't know that we were being programmed as people were speaking into our life. And then as we're children, we might hear things or we might watch things, like as a child, I watched scary movies because I thought it was funny, but I was petrified of scary movies. So there's all these things that we have been programming. So we sit there and we acknowledge the inner child on us, that a lot of times people have never acknowledged that person, that inner child was, that it's there, but they've never been acknowledged. So we go through, let's hug them. Let's acknowledge that we've neglected them. Let's acknowledge that we've never paid attention. Then let's acknowledge that there's all this pain that they have been coping with. So I go through the whole process, and then I go through the process of touching their hand, and it's the exact process that Dr. Hugh Lin did it. I just do it in a now version of the Maria Lupita version. And then one thing that I love about Ho'oponopono, the method, is that just like you did, you made it to it where you were called to change it so that it would make sense for you. And what I love about Ho'oponopono is that when it first began, it required a tribe of people to do it together. And then somebody else felt inspired to shift it so that we wouldn't have it with all the people, so that people could do it individually on their own. And that's what Dr. Hugh Lin started adopting. And when he first started adopting it, I do a lot of research about it. And one of the things is that when he got together with Dr. Joe Vitale, he added the "I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you," which used to not be the 4 phrases that he started out with. And he shifted because he was inspired by it. So as you begin to practice Ho'oponopono, you're going to be given inspiration by the divine as to how to shift it if you need to shift it for any reason. Some people shift the phrasing as to how they do it, the order of the phrasing. For me, in my opinion, you cannot say "I love you" if you just screamed at somebody's head. You can't come say "I love you" if you haven't apologized, right? So I begin with "I'm sorry" for a reason, because in my logical mind it makes sense. And then God says you have to ask for forgiveness. So I said, "Please forgive me," whether it's to myself because I've been torturing myself, or to somebody else, or that I've done something that I don't even know that I've dishonored God. So please forgive me. And then once I did this and this, then I'm going to say thank you, because I'm going to assume that God has been inspired to ask these 2 things, and I'm going to acknowledge that it's been given to me. So if this is done, then I can say "I love you." So when you go through the whole process, at the end of it, and you cleanse any memories, you cleanse anything that people, places, or things have been programmed to keep you from what you are divinely called to do. It's the whole process. Once you do that, then you sit there and you're going to be download a message as to what your call is to do. Or if you've already been called to the mortgage industry, if you've already been called to making money online, if you've been called like you, Marilyn, to help people in their nutrition space, every single one of us has been called to something, right? Maybe we've been called to have more courage on start dating and having a relationship like that professor with Julie. So we're all called to something, but sometimes we neglect the calling that we have because the programming that has been done to us. In most of the time, a lot of the time, people don't even realize that it's been programmed into our system, and sometimes we don't even know that it's there because it's so behind the scenes that we're just acting out, and we just have to erase it. And that's what I love about Ho'oponopono, is that the hot mess is there, right? The hot mess is there. And God says, let's just erase it. Let's start at zero, because I want to give you what you were called to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much. And, please share with the listeners if you have any events coming up and where people can find you.
Yes, so I love that there's a book that is called The Game of Life, or something around those terms. And I believe life is a game, if we see it like a game. And we have to learn the tools that we need to have to win at the game of life. Right. And that's where you have people like Julie, that's where you have people like you, so that we can both collectively help others, including ourselves, to win at the game of life. So if anybody wants to have access to anything that I have, free or paid for, I have a community that I help people with the mind hacking. And then I have another community where I help people get past their limitation of showing up online on a daily basis. Because if you have a message, you need to give it to other people. It wasn't given to you to keep it as a secret. And the stage for me is talking on social media and through social media. So all of that is accessible through accesswinning.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And I wanted to just give a shout out to a nonprofit, Mutual Aid Network, who helped to put on this podcast. Super thankful. So, what Mutual Aid Network is about is everyone has strengths. Not everyone has the finances to do it. So, a few of us have just collaborated around the world to be able to bring our strengths and trade our services and our talents with each other. So one of the ways that I give back to Mutual Aid Network is I host Zoom karaoke. And so this is bringing people from all around the world who love to sing, who love to, bring their voice, or who just love to enjoy other people singing. We all come together for Mutual Aid Network and be able to listen and enjoy music. And I'm really, really thankful for this nonprofit. And I also wanted to say that I love Frequence. I have been an affiliate for Frequence for a few years now, since 2023, and something that has helped me with, the struggles that I've had dealing through some of the hardest times of my life, ending a 20-year relationship, my business coach passing away very suddenly at the age of 35, like I really was so thankful for frequency infused nutrition, that has helped to transition me and just help to raise my frequency and vibration so I can help others as well and be able to put on this podcast. So I'm super thankful for Frequence. You can find me on all the social medias. I'm mainly on Instagram, so you can find me at Marilyn Lemaire. I also have YouTube and Facebook as well. And yeah, just really thankful for all of us coming together, because I believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. So have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your Aloha Friday.